Hey guys, welcome to another video. In this one we're going to be talking about the best Assassin's Creed setting. Now in this video I am going to talk about my three favourite settings, and from those I'm going to pick a favourite which will be my personal best Assassin's Creed setting. Now these are the settings that in my opinion were the best and most appropriate for Assassin's Creed, if not the most interesting both historically and otherwise. Please bear in mind that this is in my opinion, and without further ado, let's begin. So the first setting we have to talk about is definitely the Crusades. Now the Crusade, the third Crusade, what we saw in Assassin's Creed 1 in the Holy Land, was something that really fit. Like I said in a previous video about Assassin's Creed 1 specifically, the Crusades was one of the few settings that we could believe the Assassin's Creed story being set in the most. It was somewhere where a similar thing basically happened with the Hashishin, although they weren't necessarily enemies of the Templars as opposed to just enemies with everybody. And I just all in all like the medieval setting, the architecture, the grittiness, the whole peasant look about most people, how everything was quite dirty and etc. And honestly I found this to be a really detailed world, even though it was the first setting, and it was arguably the less detailed Assassin's Creed game. It had a really detailed world because it was just that gritty setting that they were trying to paint the picture, and they painted the picture well, and the Assassin Templar bit worked. Besides that, the architecture in the setting was very fitting for Assassin's Creed. The buildings were quite close together, so parkour was quite accessible, and that's what you need from a setting in Assassin's Creed, and this game ticked the boxes with the Crusades. So the Crusades are therefore one of the best settings we've seen in Assassin's Creed in my opinion. Next up on the list we have the Italian Renaissance. The Italian Renaissance was the setting that came directly after Assassin's Creed 1 in Assassin's Creed 2, and this setting was incredible. It followed similar characteristics to the first one, although it was the Renaissance rather than a medieval period. However, the architecture was both similar and different. It was Italian, the architecture was different to that of the Middle East, of course, and all that area, but at the same time it had the characteristics that made it appropriate for Assassin's Creed. For example, the buildings were close together, it was easy for parkour, things like that. The world was also very colourful, both literally and metaphorically. There were different kinds of people, different classes. The cities felt different. You could define Florence from Rome or Rome from Venice, and this was in both Brotherhood and 2. The soundtrack was fitting and incredible, and like the first game, this setting worked for Assassin's Creed. It was believable that there would be Assassins and Templars here, and the Templars being around here. That was believable. With some other settings it's not so believable that that's there, but with this it works. And the Renaissance style overall was something that really suited Assassin's Creed. It was very interesting because there were so many things that you could look at, so many little things on the database, interesting historical figures like Leonardo da Vinci and so on and so forth. And with all these pieces of information, interesting historical figures, lovely artwork, lovely architecture all around the place, it made the entire world fun to explore, and the setting made for a good time overall. And finally we have the Golden Age of Piracy. The Golden Age of Piracy is perhaps the most unique setting we've seen in Assassin's Creed, out of the best ones especially, because the Renaissance and the Crusades had similarities, but this one was completely unique. This one was different. A lot of it was water based, so there was a lot of use of ships, which was quite fitting for the setting, but it didn't get in the way of the gameplay too much, and there was that assassin element which was supported in these lovely beautiful areas. Now my favourite thing about this isn't necessarily its complementing of the Assassin's Creed sort of style, but in fact the open world itself, because the open world in this game was beautiful, and it wasn't just full of pointless collectibles. It had a lot of them, but the world was full of things, and all in all it was a good setting. It was fun to explore, it felt good, the soundtrack was quite fitting again, and it was just a great setting and a good time. The Caribbean and the Golden Age of Piracy is definitely my favourite setting in recent years. But which of these settings is my overall all-time favourite? Now, of course it's going to be the Renaissance Italy, because Assassin's Creed 2 itself is special to me. This game was special to me, and the setting factored into that majorly. Had it been in a shitty setting, the game would probably not be my favourite. The feeling, the soundtrack, all of it, it just felt like Assassin's Creed at its prime, and the setting felt like it just complemented that. So therefore the Renaissance is probably my favourite setting that we have seen in Assassin's Creed, and it's also one that's quite unique to Assassin's Creed because not many other games have actually touched down on it, which is something that makes it unique, which is great. But there you have it, everybody. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, share, comment, etc. And I will see you all in the next one with another video. So yes. Oh, yeah.